Okay, Eva, I think we're ready. So if you want to start, please feel free to do so.
Okay. All right, everyone can see my screen okay? All right, great. Well, hi everyone and welcome to day 2 of the Girls in Tech Hackathon. I'm going to be leading a session on brainstorming. My name is Eva. I am currently the head of marketing for a startup called Argyle, which is about a 100-person software startup based in New York City. And I've been in tech marketing for over 10 years, and I'm really passionate about technology, and I'm really excited to do this session with you. And so one of the big things about brainstorming is that it's really important to let your mind be free. And before you can let your mind be free, you need to do a warm up for your body and your mind. So we're going to start there by standing up. So please join me in standing up. And we're gonna start by getting in a little bit of movement. So we're gonna start by jumping around. All right, now, keep your hands.
Pack it up, pack it in, let me begin. I came to win, battle me, that's a sin. I won't ever slack up, punk, you better back up. Try and play the role and you're the whole crew will act up. Get up, stand up, come on, throw your hands up if you got the feeling. Jump up, touch the ceiling, monks with
Now,
some funk
keep
flow.
your legs
Fucking
in your
jump,
feet.
yo, I'll bust them in the eye. And then I'll take the punks out, feeling funky. Amps in the trunk and I got more rhymes in this cup that a junkie. Donut shop, sure enough, I got props from the kids on the hill, plus my mom and my pops. I came to get down, I came to get down. So get out your seat and jump around, jump around, jump around, jump around.
All right, now we're all warmed up. How's everyone feeling? So thumbs up works. Do we feel loose? All right, now for the next section, if you have a pen and a paper, any type of pen and any type of paper will work. Get out your pen and your paper, and we're gonna do a mental warm-up. All right. So we are gonna draw this next song. All right, can you hold up what you've drawn? Love it. Great. Okay, we're gonna draw another song. Five more seconds. Let's see what you draw. Love it. Love everyone's drawings. And we're gonna draw one more song. And this time without lifting your pen. Seconds. All right, let's see your last drawing. Love it. I love everyone's drawings. Okay, now that we've warmed up our bodies and warmed up our minds, we can start talking about brainstorming. Let's get into brainstorming. So, here are some 5 principles of brainstorming. The first one is loosen up in releasing yourself from judgment. And that's what we tried to do with our, oops, oh no. Okay, that's what we did with our little warm-up exercises, is removing our mind from mind blocks and removing ourselves from judgment. And when you're doing brainstorming, all ideas are welcome. And so you don't want to label ideas as good ideas or bad ideas. You want to remove any type of judgment and let ideas flow. After that, we need to focus on some type of prompt, some type of structure, solo time to brainstorm, which we're going to get into. A fun, judgment-free meeting or a fun, judgment-free environment, and then moving into production for whatever it is that you're brainstorming for. So this is kind of best practices of a general brainstorming framework. And we've done 1. Now we're gonna hop into talking about 2 and 3. And we're gonna start with something called brain writing. And this is lessons from The Onion. Is anyone here familiar with The Onion? Show of hands. The Onion is a news publication. It's a national news publication that's actually sort of a jokey, funny type of news publications. And they're pretty popular on a global level. They have millions of readers. And what I learned about The Onion from the editor-in-chief there is that when they're brainstorming headlines, actually only 5% of headlines that they come up with end up going into print. And so 95% of the work leads to 5% output. And so that's why we want to start with a lot of ideas. And the best practices from The Onion is start with brainstorming alone. Aim for a variety of ideas all over the place, in quantity of ideas. And the reason that we're aiming for quantity of ideas is because the first 20 ideas are generally less creative than the next 15 ideas. And the reason because of that is that when you're trying to get super creative and get into that part of your brain that is super creative, the first ideas that come to mind when you're brainstorming are generally the most conventional ideas. It's the ideas that you've already thought of, it's the ideas that are top of mind. And so by fleshing out those top of mind ideas, you're then able to get into a hyper creative part of your brain. And why start alone? This is something that I've been doing a lot of research on. When you begin a brainstorm in person, you're generally biasing towards people that are louder, people that have more confidence, people that might have more authority in the situation of, like, let's say you're in a meeting, let's say you're in a business room. What that means is that you're not giving space for introverts, minorities, and generally women. So by starting off with brainstorming alone, you are starting off by leveling the playing field and giving everyone an opportunity to build some ideas. It also improves the quality of ideas. When you first enter into a group dynamic, there can be group dynamics. And so by starting alone, you're removing yourself from any type of judgment of group dynamics. You're giving room for the quantity over quality that we talked about. And you're also creating a situation where there's no biases towards someone who might be louder or someone who might be more extroverted or confident, like we discussed. So interestingly, science shows that you get better ideas and more ideas when you start them off alone. So that's what we're going to be doing. And then a couple things I wanted to mention as best practices for brainstorming before we start doing some of it ourselves is detaching ideas from the creator. So we want to think of ideas as little floating ideas floating around. And it just happens that we're catching the ideas and we're putting them down on the page. And these ideas that we're putting down on the page have really nothing to do with us. And we don't want to label them as being good ideas or bad ideas. We just want to label them as ideas and try to collect as many ideas as we can. And also, ideas are free. Having more ideas doesn't cost more. So we're just gonna, in the beginning, try to just come up with more ideas and more thoughts. And so that gets us into our first prompt. What can make it hard to connect with people from different communities? And this is tying into the theme of our hackathon of connecting with people from different communities. So to start off, if everyone can grab their pens and grab something to write on, or if you don't want to do pen and paper, and if you prefer using a computer, you can do that too. And we're going to spend a few minutes on our own coming up with a list of whatever comes to mind of what can make it hard to connect with people from different communities. And we are going to start there, and I'll give everyone a couple minute warning. right, how is everyone doing on their lists? If you did a physical list, can you show us your list and we can see how people did? Okay, great. So we're gonna do a couple more individual prompts. They're a little bit similar, but with some nuance. So the next prompt is, when was a time that you tried to connect with people from other communities and what may have been hard about it? And so this is related to what we just did, but for this one, we're gonna try to do a little bit of brainstorming about experiences from our own lives and come up with some ideas of things that we've personally experienced. And we're gonna spend a few minutes here as well. Wrap up your last couple of ideas. Okay, how did we do? Let's see any lists that we have that we can share with the group. Does anyone have a list they want to hold up to the screen? Awesome. Okay, so now we're going to do one last solo brainstorming exercise. And it's doing an exercise of looking at one, which was very general, and two, which was a lot more personal, and putting them together to think about what are the main challenges of connecting with people from other communities. And this could be logistic, technology, geographics, languages, and understanding different backgrounds or experiences. And I should have put in other because we don't want to limit any ideas here. And we're going to spend a few more minutes fleshing out all of the possible challenges that we could possibly think of. And we'll do just a few more minutes here. Start wrapping up your last two ideas. All right, so by now we should all have a list of some ideas that we were able to get out through these three prompts. And now we're going to get into our groups. And before we get into our groups, let's look through our lists and let's look at the themes and patterns that jumped out at us in our brainstorming, our solo brainstorming exercises, and we're going to bring that into a group exercise. And the goal of this group exercise is for us to brainstorm and discuss as groups and align on a problem that we want to try to build a solution for. And so the next part of this is going to be finding solutions, but in order to find a solution, we have to align on a problem. So with that, let's all jump into some groups.
Okay, is this the point where they join the breakout rooms, Ava?
Yes, this is the breakout rooms.
Okay, I just want to mention, I know that I went through the names and saw which teams are here. So Lonnie, Anna, and Claire, remember you are in magenta group, so you will join breakout room 3 together, okay? Also, I see Maria Jesus is here, but none of her team is here, is what I'm seeing. And then also there is I see another Maria. We have I don't Maria, with, it just says Maria. What's your last name? Or maybe they can't hear me. So I'm gonna go ahead and open the rooms, and the other team also, like, is Cynthia, Eileen, and Yusra are all here. Your baby blue, you will join room 17. If there's any question, just go ahead and stay behind. I'll open the rooms now.
Oh, Eva, you're good. Everyone's back.
Everyone's back? Okay, cool. Well, to start off, I'd be really interested in hearing some of the problems that all the different groups aligned on. So if a representative from each group would want to share a little bit about where they left, that would be great. And then we're going to move into the next group exercise before wrapping up our brainstorm. Maria, do you want to share from what we discussed in our group?
Yeah, so we were talking mainly about time zones differences that can be a big problem.
Time zones, a great problem to address. The group that I popped into had 2 problems that are both great problems. Will someone from that group, you want to share a little bit about what was the problem that you found?
Sure. So one of our problems was language barriers, and the other problem was like personal biases against certain people.
Really great problems, biases against certain people, communication. And there was, I think, one more group. Does someone from the last group want to share some solutions? I mean, some problems that they came up with in their group discussion.
Cynthia, go ahead.
We're breakout room 17. So we kind of just went through some of the things that jumped out at us. And I think the main point was that a lot of the times when you're trying to connect with people, the lack of common ground kind of stops the way that you can communicate effectively with them. Because if I were to talk about some problem that only affects this amount of people, or a specific age group, a specific language group, ethnicity, religion, whatever, etc., it's like it's hard to connect with the others in different communities that don't relate to this issue. So I would say a lack of common ground is what we were really saying was a major problem.
Nice, like things in common.
Right.
All great problems that are really worth it to address. So Now we're gonna do one more brainstorming prompt. We're kind of heading up to the end of our session here. So we're gonna quickly run through this next brainstorming prompt. And then we'll go into our final group meeting before closing up. You don't need to come up with 35 potential solutions, just as many comes to mind. We'll spend a few minutes here individually thinking about some potential solutions to the problems that we came up with.
פחד עמום עוטף את העיניים רוצה שתחכי
All right, couple more minutes. Let's not minutes, let's close up our ideas. All right, how is everyone feeling about your lists of solutions? And we had originally planned to go into group time, but I'm wondering if for this, Elsa, what do you think? Should we go into groups to kind of wrap this up, or do we want to wrap this up kind of all together?
I think we can go into groups, and if people have some sort of like schedule conflict, feel free to leave. But yeah, I think it is nice just to be here together.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so from your list of solutions, if there's any last ideas that you have, feel free to jot them down. But what you're going to want to do is pick a few of the solutions that really jump out at you to bring to your group. And we're going to discuss these solutions in the group. And then what you want to do is focus on where there might be themes of overlap and potentially even combine them before aligning on a solution. And just a reminder that all ideas are good ideas. And with that, great. Well, see you in the groups.
Yes, we're all good.
Great. Okay. Well, I'm really curious to hear how the solutions brainstorming went. Do groups want to share with the larger group some of the things that they discussed?
You can also talk about like what like challenging or that was interesting. So you don't have to like give your solutions up for anything. You can just talk about the experience too.
Yeah, or anything that you maybe learned from the session or want to continue doing in your own time after this, something that resonated with you.
Cynthia, I saw a little wave.
All right, sure. I could just try to talk about sharing our solutions since we've been brainstorming since 8 a.m. But For us, it was like a lot of what we talked about was language barrier and just being on the same page. So language barrier and common ground, I guess. By being on the same page, we're thinking just to have a setup where everyone's updated first. So just be able to spread the same information to everyone who decides to use whatever this is. I'm not giving away any solutions, it's very general. But and for language barrier, I think many apps already have this. Say like Instagram, Twitter, any of those. But it's like they have the option to translate a tweet maybe to the language of their choice. Um, I know something called Weverse. I don't know how many people are aware of it, but you have the option of translating a tweet from a post from the poster's home language to your own or your selected language in the first place. So granted, the translations are pretty bad, but it makes it pretty funny. So it's like, again, humor is a way to connect people as well. So that's what we thought.
Awesome. Thank you, Cynthia. Is there one more person? See the time? Lenny and Claire, Maria. Just one thing.
Oh, sure. Yeah. We also thought about a language barrier, but instead it would be more like a translation on a video type screen, instead of like a written text.
Very cool. Well, thank you for sharing. I think we are close to time, 52. I just want to thank Eva if you have any last words.
Just wanted to thank everybody and good luck with the rest of the hackathon. And I just put here my Twitter and my email in case anyone wants to reach out to me with any questions, and good luck brainstorming.
And thank you, Eva, of course, setting this whole workshop up. Much, much appreciated.
Thank you so much.
Yep. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, Eva.